I think it's time for this moment of unity, and I'm the leader to meet that moment.
Francesca's momentum is so undeniable. All the other Democrats try to come along for the ride. Instead of differentiating themselves from the Democratic Socialist, everyone else on stage pretended to be one. But what they couldn't steal, aside from her swaggy green suit, is her AI data center moratorium, which has become not only the largest issue in Wisconsin, but the largest in the nation, and Fran is calling it out.
I introduced the legislation that puts a moratorium on the construction of new AI data centers, and I would call a special session into play so that the legislature can take up that legislation or the other Democratic legislation that had been introduced by my colleagues, and yet Robin Voss ended session early. I think it's important that we have enforceable regulation, that we bring union workers to the table, that this is very similar to what I believe could be seen as more collective bargaining to make sure that we're protecting union jobs, and that the natural resources, we're letting some of the big tech companies know that they are not for sale. And until we fully fund the Department of Natural Resources and we have the actual regulations to hold polluters accountable, that we are including in the Public Service Commission, different types of phases where we have stricter legislation and clear definitions of how data centers can actually move forward. This moratorium is necessary so that we can responsibly and put in enforcement mechanisms to protect communities. And seeing local governments already put moratoriums into play, we want people to have local control, but we also want to make sure that there are the guardrails, the legal resources, and that if data centers are going to come here in our state, that they pay their own way and actually pay up front.
All of the other candidates are either suddenly against AI data centers as well, or welcome them but think that regulations will keep them in check, which is a brain-dead answer to the issue that is data centers, which not only steal energy, but pollute the environment, create noise, kill jobs. There's literally no upside to them. And Francesca was leading before the debate because she was the only one to call them out when it wasn't popular to do so.
Do you support a 1-year or longer moratorium on data center construction in Wisconsin? Right, thank you.
It's going to do all these things: increase surveillance, contaminate water, jack up energy bills. There's noise pollution. It's taking over our farmlands. It's what's making people feel even less in control. The risk of being even less in control of your lives than you are now because things are so hard has only escalated the urgency, and I would say pushed the public opinion from, well, let's regulate or make sure we're protecting our natural resources, our public health, to we straight up just don't fucking want these here, ever.
What that you are putting forward, do you sense that people, Democratic voters or at least primary voters, are most responding to?
Fund public schools, tax the rich, and stop the AI data centers. I introduced a bill that would put a moratorium on the construction of new hyperscale AI data centers. And this issue, I think it's a metaphor for where we are with democracy and hypercapitalism and the growth of oligarchs and trillionaires, while we are seeing working class folks struggle and wages stagnant while corporate profit and corruption continues to grow.
No one wants these data centers. Not Republicans, not Democrats, not independents. They are as close to a unifying alien force as we can possibly get without Elon Musk finally revealing wherever he's from. Even Willie Nelson is having to speak out against them building one in his own community, saying that the last thing any town needs is a water-thieving, loud, light-polluting data center. But the political establishment, being in bed with big tech, are pretending like they're not about to reap some major consequences. Francesca uniquely positioned herself to be the only person, either on stage last night or, considering Tom Tiffany, who was willing to fight for the people to stop these data centers from being built in their communities, period. Jeff Hanneman, a Republican who voted for President Trump, decided to cast his vote in the governor's race for Ms. Hong, in part because she wants to pause data center construction. Francesca clearly was the winner because she forced every other candidate to change their campaigns to align with hers. She serves as a perfect example of why being unabashedly on the left drags the entire party back to where it needs to be. Her influence is completely undeniable.
More money.
It's rather striking how progressive the tenor of the arguments are. It's because Francesca Hong is on the stage. That's it. When you have, this is what happened with Bernie Sanders in 2020 and also in 2016 as well. Well, I guess not to the same degree in 2016, but in 2020, certainly, a big chunk of the candidates were trying to basically moderate to the left. And shift the Overton window to the left just to be appealing to a base of support.
Finally, the party is waking up to the fact that nobody wants their platform because it's Republican light. At a time when fascists are in the White House, incremental change and moderation are death sentences for people. Fran is finally exemplifying all of that rhetoric that the Democrats surround themselves with. She really fits the bill.
What democratic socialism is a form of government that puts working class people first, that puts work first. The policies that we have been working on, permanent affordability, has broad bipartisan support in every corner of the state. Well, things like fully funding our public schools, ensuring that we are doing right by our kids and cutting property taxes, taxing the ultra wealthy and mega corporations, ensuring that we can invest in free childcare and that everyone has access to affordable housing. And we are the only campaign to support a moratorium on AI data centers, and we have found broad bipartisan support. I am looking forward to helping the Democrats become the big tent party that they've aimed to be for many years.
The same poll that has Fran at 44% had data centers as the biggest issue. Likely because now everyone has seen the devastation that they bring upon communities on social media. So when volunteers for Fran's campaign knock on someone's door, it's easy to convince that person that she is the fighter that they're looking for.
I am your fighter, fighting alongside you and fighting for you. And this is a movement moment. Our campaign is one that has built a bipartisan coalition where we have reached voters in every part of the state. Republicans, independents, Democratic Socialists, and Democrats. They have come together and already uniting. We are already beating Tom Tiffany, whether it comes to the number of donors, whether it comes to the number of individual donations. I think it's time for this moment of unity, and I'm the leader to meet that moment.
Is there really any surprise that Fran has surged to the front of this race? Tom Tiffany is going to get his face pushed in, and we'll prove once and for all that democratic socialism can work anywhere. If you want to support us, the best way to do it is by becoming a member. But of course, just watching and subscribing is always enough. I'm Tony Hinderman, and I'll catch you next time.